Hi, guys. I'm going to stand here if that's okay. Hi, guys. Thank you so much for coming out. It's Thursday, so I really appreciate that everyone's coming to hear a little bit about money. Come in, sit down. This is going to be totally informal, and here's the goal of today. When you leave here in 1 hour, I want to make sure that you've learned everything that you need to about money. Ask questions. Stop me. I'm in the middle of actually my book tour, so Financially Fearless is our book. It's a New York Times bestseller. It's actually #1 in Wall Street Journal in business. So it's pretty exciting. It came out about now 12 days ago, 15 days ago. And so we've been going around the country giving this talk. I actually gave it to the Google in New York. I'm going to the Google in Beverly Hills after this and a bunch of other companies and organizations. So I've done it a lot. You're going to have questions, ask them. And I'm going to stay and sit up here at the end and actually ask one-on-one questions if you want to take the time to do something that's really specific to you. So 10 seconds on me. I grew up in Florida, went to Harvard, went back to Morgan Stanley and worked as a trader on the prop desk. Went back to Harvard Business School in the fall of 2008, won a big business plan competition, and ultimately dropped out. And I think we were in the heart of the worst recession in 81 years, and I was literally customer #1. You guys are really great product people. I literally didn't know what to do with my own finances. I was young. I didn't have a ton of money. I didn't have no money. I was just trying to figure out, like, what's a credit score? What are the things that I need to know? And what I found was it was such BS. Literally trying to navigate your money. It's like you literally go Google tons of content. You don't know if it's updated. You don't know if it's wrong. I actually just had someone at the Google in New York come up to me, and actually he was in tears, and she was like, Alexa, I really need and want to figure out my money. She's like, I'm not in a bad position. She was like, but I spent over 8 hours trying to find a financial expert. Finally found someone. Took about a week to get them on the phone. We got on the phone, and they want to charge me like a $3,000 retainer, and then I have to commit that I want to work with them for over a year. She was like, and I don't have thousands of dollars to spend to figure out my money. And the bottom line is, I was like, why isn't there a way to make people feel great about money, to make it extremely accessible and frankly affordable? And I'm going to share some really important stuff, but the goal of today is for you to walk out feeling smarter. I'm really psyched that we got you guys books. And without further ado, we'll get started. So first, what is LearnVest? We raised $45 million. We're now one of the leading and fastest growing online financial planning companies in the whole country. We raised money from Excel Venture Partners. We actually just closed a big round of another $20 million. We're located in New York City. We have about 110 employees. By the end of the year, we'll probably have about 180 to 200. Plainly, simply put, we are a program for your money. We literally, and you guys get product, as I said so well, we spent the last 3 years, got some of the best certified financial planners. That's the doctor for your money. Most people don't even know what a CFP is. We then took a bunch of really great product people and technologists, and we built really rich software that can take any household, whether you make $50,000 or $500,000, and quickly find out what your big weak points are, like where you have sort of red alerts, and then figuring out how you can make progress on your money. And it's a really simple program. The goal when I set out was I want to make it accessible. It shouldn't be this like 5-day process where you don't know where to go. You don't know if it's an actual expert. It's really expensive because the message that happens there is you then tell yourself, I shouldn't be doing this. It's so complicated. It's so hard. Clearly, I shouldn't be taking care of my money, when in fact, that's not the point. And then finally, we wanted to make it trusted and unbiased. So our experts at LearnVest don't sell anything. They just give you advice. And my whole family's in medicine, and one of the things that I started recognizing as I was building the company was you literally could go to some experts and they actually get paid to sell you product. And the problem there, it's like going to the doctor and them getting paid to pump you full of, antibiotics and shots when you're actually just sick and need someone to take care of you. Next slide. So first, follow me and LearnVest. We're on the tour for the next 30 days, but also shoot questions to us. We'll answer them, but we share a ton of behind the scenes, a ton of really important money hacks at all times. And so this is us. Next. And really quickly, so the book's called, I wanted to call the book The F Word, first of all, because none of us want to talk about money. It's this topic, it's super stressful. In fact, like for a century, like we've taught everyone never to talk about money. It's this totally impolite thing. But the problem is, everyone deals with money. In fact, we make 6 to 10 money decisions every single day, and we will every day that we're alive on this earth. I actually go so far as to say that financial planning should be literally should be a civil right, just like sort of getting access to healthcare, because if your money is in complete disarray, you can't protect your family, you can't take care of yourself, you can't lead even a normal average life. And so I'm actually going on this tour. It's kind of crazy. I was in Denver this morning, I was in Nashville yesterday, Chicago the day before, Indiana the day before that, and going back to New York, shooting everything from tomorrow morning, we're on the Good Morning America. We were supposed to be shooting Piers Morgan tonight, all the way to next week, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville, etc. Running around the country doing this, going to high schools, colleges, churches, hospitals, companies, literally giving this money talk so that everyone gets empowered. We call it Financially Fearless America because really important rules. I probably talked to well over 10,000 people, and I've actually never met a single person that has said, I feel great about my money. It is just this topic of stress, anxiety. None of us grew up with enough money, trust me. Even if you did, you know someone who grew up with more. It's really this topic of pretty deep stress and strain. You're not saving enough, you don't make enough, because it literally is this topic that you always are comparing. And the problem with that is, we know mathematically about 85% of the audience is too embarrassed and too stressed out to actually go and jump and make progress. And about 15% sort of feels maybe-ish confident. They're like, I think I'm doing it. And what we find is both are really bad because you end up not actually making progress on your money. Next. So some really important stats. Right now, 76% of the country, and I gave a TED Talk on this, feels out of control when it comes to their money. Let me describe exactly what we found. It is like being in a boat in the middle of the ocean and you literally just don't know which ways land. And that may sound dramatic, but it's actually pretty accurate. And the reason what we find is the average person can spare a little, and by the way, this is obviously not above the average audience. And you'll see some stats about the more money you make, how things actually can get more complicated. But the takeaway here is you're in the middle of the ocean, and let's just say you can spare a few $1,000s a month, which let's just say that that's what this room can spare. You then have so many priorities that you're not quite sure which bucket to fill first. Do you pay down student debt? Do you pay down credit card debt? Do you contribute to your 401k? There's a matching program here. Do you think about 529 plans for your kids? Do you help your aging parent, which that is a really big new topic that our generation will be faced with? Do you have emergency savings? Do you contribute to your mortgage? I mean, you quickly can see that you end up being like, where does my next dollar go? Like, how do I prioritize? And the takeaway is most people feel pretty stressed out. Next. So right now, 61% of the country, so just think about the whole country, literally lives paycheck to paycheck, which means that they are not in a position, if anything happened, to be able to go grab some cash and do something. Most people have less than 1 month of savings of like what their life cost them. And what's really interesting, especially for this room, is 30% of people who make over $100,000 live paycheck to paycheck. So I say that because we sort of intuitively think having more money means that you have less money problems. But we all know exactly what happens. You get slightly the bigger home with the nice marble countertops, and you drive the nicer car, and you go on the slightly nicer vacations. So simply having more doesn't mean that you have any less problems. And I make that point because when you think about your own money, when you think about sort of we all do the comparison situation, simply because someone makes more money does not mean that behind the scenes they're in a better situation. And I can tell you, we've seen the bus driver who makes $60,000 who owns 2 homes and has no debt, and we've seen the Wall Street guy or gal who makes $250,000 who has $20,000 of credit card debt, doesn't own anything. And the takeaway there is what you make and what you do with it are very, very different things. Next. So I always go through these excuses, and I say it just because I have literally, LearnVest is massive. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of users, adding anywhere from about 1,000 to 5,000 a day. People write in all the time, and I read probably at least 50 to 100 emails every day. And I can't tell you the number of people who, we hear the excuses, and it's things like, but I don't have enough money to care about my money. And actually, mathematically, when you have less money, it is actually more critical for you to know where your next dollar should go, which my whole TED Talk was about how financial planning should not be a luxury product. Right now, if you have well over $1 million, there's a slew of places you can go to get investment advice. But if you have less, which 98.6% of the country has less than $1 million, there's not a lot of great places to go. And in fact, I would argue that there is not a great place to go before LearnFest. So first, I don't have enough money. I'm ashamed. I don't want to get started. Last night I was in Denver, and a woman who's in her 60s came up to me and was like, I cannot tell you what I would have given for someone to tell me this when I was in my 20s, 30s, maybe even 40s, because it could have changed so much. She was just like, here I am, and I can't do a lot. So we always say, like, the problem's not going to go away. You just have to solve it, and it's about making that barrier to solving it pretty low. We get a lot of like, I don't even know what a financial plan is. Well, that's what I'm going to walk through. That's what the book walks through, and I'm going to share some of my favorite hacks for you guys today that are absolutely worth your time. And then finally, we see a lot, again, a small portion of people say, I kind of think I have a handle on things. And then we actually look at their finances and see that they're no better off, but they just sort of think that they are. And so the takeaway is, put those excuses aside. You already did. You came to this talk. But I like to say them out loud because they sort of run through all of our heads.